then you, like, in a business perspective, you think, all right, woman empowering experiences is a want, branding is a need, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when I went back and I'm like, business-wise, I'm like, okay, this is more of a need. The market needs this more than that. So I started shifting, and then I took off just the photography side. And then I started realizing, the gaps where people really needed to build their brand.
Thank you for tuning in to the Sally Allen podcast, where we give voice to stories of resilience. Hey, everybody, it's your host, Sally Allen, for the Sally Allen podcast. And today we have an incredible guest. Her name is Juliana Goldberg. And we met about a year ago.
Yes.
And we were trying to remember who introduced us, and we couldn't. But we sat at a coffee shop, and we sat for over an hour, and we just shared our hearts. And her story was so touching, what she shared with me. She's resilient. She's a strong woman. She's also the founder of JG Brands, and she does branding. She's a photography. But how does she juggle it all? Because she went through she's going through something so hard, and she's been living with it for how many years?
Since 2001.
Since 2001. Yeah. And I really want you to hear about this, because sometimes we look at people. I had looked at her and I thought, man, she has it all together. She's so put together. And then she shared this incredible story with me, and that's what I want you to hear today. So welcome. Tune in. You're in for a treat. Welcome, Juliana, to the Sally Allen podcast.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you for having me over here. I love listening, watching your podcast. I love all the people you're bringing in. Really, like, you are amazing at this. Like, I really, really appreciate you sharing your heart and having people share their stories. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. You wouldn't have known that I'm good at this the way we started, though. There were so many bloopers.
That was great. Yeah, it was really funny.
But that's what happened. I was talking to Greg about when you lose momentum. When you're doing something and you just lose momentum, it's hard to get back and gain that momentum. Mm-hmm. And part of your story that you shared with me, let's start with, like, you are from South America?
I'm from Brazil.
Yes. And then you came here, and then some of the things you've been through and what you're going through. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So right before I turned 21, I was in Brazil, living in Brazil, took a break from college, and I moved to Santa Barbara by myself to study English in the summer. And you fall in love in Santa Barbara, right? Like, Santa Barbara is fantastic. And then you meet a guy right in the first month that you fall in love with. So I went from English course in the summer, and I registered into culinary school. And the funny thing is that I'm horrible at cooking up to this day. So needless to say, I quit culinary school, and then I transferred to hotel management. So that was in 97.
Wow. Culinary school, I did not know. How long did you last at culinary school?
A semester, because I paid for. Otherwise, I would have left earlier. It was a little obligation and pressure. And met my husband in 97. We're neighbors. It's a cute story. We're neighbors, and we fell in love. We dated for 4 years, got married in 2001, and we're still happily together. It's been going to be 24 years, yeah.
Wow. But in 2001, you found out something.
Yes. So a month after we got married, my husband, Cher, was diagnosed with MS. And that has been our life journey, right? I didn't know what MS was at the time.
Wow.
Like, I just went to the doctor and I asked her, is this deadly? Because everybody was so, like, scared and upset once we heard the news, and I didn't know what it was. I just asked, is it deadly? She said, no, it's not. I'm like, okay, we got this. And this is what, we're just going through life with this.
What were some of the adjustments you had to make for that?
I think one of the things that I always say is that I didn't know different, right?
Yeah.
We got married right there. We didn't have that marriage life in a certain way, and then it changed. It was like the beginning of everything. So it was just like we're learning as we go. Adjustments, it's every day. Every day there are adjustments. You don't know. It's a very unpredictable disease, and you don't know what it's going to be. So we just really wake up, like our motto is to wake up being grateful that, you can breathe, you're alive, and every day is a new day. So,
Wow. What are some of the symptoms of MS?
so MS, it could be so, so different for so many, like each person's so different symptoms or, degrees, and it's hard to compare. But Jared, he had, it started with double vision, and then it changed to, you're so fatigued, body pain, and he started having very bad cramps throughout his whole body, ongoing, and that's one of the reasons why he is in a wheelchair for the past 8 years. So it's a lot. It's very hard to fix whatever it is, because
Yeah.
you really, there's no like cure. There's no cure. So we're just dealing with it with each
Yeah.
day.
Juliana, every time I see you, you have a smile on your face
Yes.
and you have this positive attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone listening to this, and you are a good woman, and I'm sure your husband is wonderful also.
I'm lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you said that to me. That's why when we were at coffee, and I said, I really need people to hear this, that it's hard for you,
Mm-hmm.
but you still slap a smile on your face. You still go out for coffee.
Yes. Well, there are a lot, like, so. Of course, when we're out, right, meeting professionally, you're gonna see me with a smile on my face. If you see my content on social media, and I believe one of the things that really helped me through this whole journey is gratitude, right? If you're able to find gratitude even on the hardest days, you're gonna be okay, right? And I really, really believe putting things in perspective in life, it shifts how you see things.
Yeah.
Right. And don't take me wrong. Some days I can roll into a ball and cry and just, feel it. It's hard. It's very difficult. But it's life, right? You do the best that you can with what you've got.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's hard. But
Yeah.
not every, most of the days are okay. You just,
Thank you for being transparent and sharing that with us.
of course.
Yeah, I know that's a difficult journey.
So on that note, don't believe what you see on social media, right?
yeah.
Because
yeah.
everybody's going through struggles.
Yes.
And we just see, the smile on your face, people all put together, sharing positive things. But everybody has struggles.
Right. We
But
all
we
have our
don't see it,
basket. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. We don't see it. Yeah. But that said, I
Mm-hmm.
know we wanted to talk a little bit also about your branding. You wanted to share a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And it does tie into, I really admire you for the fact that in spite of, what you and your husband are living, your reality, in spite of your reality,
Mm-hmm.
you still started a very kick-ass business.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about your business.
So when the kids, I was in photography. I had a studio when the kids were very little. And then at the time, I'm like, I don't want to get a babysitter to be able to work. So I took a break from that. I actually went to network marketing for many, many years, which was a great ride. Learned so much about personal development. Had a lot of fun. And then decided to go back to photography when the kids were older. And I say it's not my job, it's my therapy. I love it. Like, it is work, but
Yeah.
I love it. It's so rewarding. I love what I do. And seeing other people shine through images and our brand, give them, confidence, it's so rewarding.
That's amazing. Network marketing, what people don't realize is that you built so much confidence and leadership in
Yeah.
network marketing.
There are a lot of great tools
Yeah.
that I've learned that I actually implement in my business today of, from, self-development, self-love, and, learning how to connect with people. It has, you hear, I think a lot of people don't understand the good that is in network marketing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of judgment in that. But there's a lot, like I went through a lot of my life, and I think network marketing really helped me, build a great group of friends and connect and have fun. I had fun. I had
Yeah,
fun.
I agree. Same with me. I did it 2 years ago. Well, I did it for 2 years, and I had the same experience. Now I'm not good at pushing products or anything like that, but the community was amazing. And one of the things I learned that I never forgot is that the yes builds your business and the no's builds you.
100%.
Yeah, and it really did for me that I'm not devastated when people say no to me. I just see it from a different perspective.
Yeah, it's just not right now, and it's not for you, right?
Right,
And
right.
then it's like, okay, so there are I learned a lot of things. The culture of the business that normally you see in network marketing, I was able to apply in different ways. And it's really an amazing thing, like be able to, create culture and a tribe. And that's where it's very connected for me in personal
Yeah,
branding.
same. So JG Brands have pivoted. Tell us where you're at now.
So it starts because I'm a photographer, started with photography, and I was doing woman empowering experiences. So it was all about, helping women feel confident, doing a whole session and talking to them and help them emotionally. It was an amazing experience. And then all my clients kept asking me, can you do also some branding images? Can you do some, because they're entrepreneurs? And I'm like, yeah, I can. And I was like stuck, right? Why don't you do some brand? I was like, well, because this is what I do. I like what I'm doing. And, and like I was so stuck for, a while there. And then I'm like, wait a second. They're asking me for branding. And then you, like, in a business perspective, you think, all right, woman empowering experiences is a want, branding is a need, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when I went back and I'm like, business wise, I'm like, okay, this is more of a need. The market needs this more than that. So I started shifting, and then I took off just the photography side. And then I started realizing, the gaps where people really needed to build their brand.
Yeah. And I know you shared that you have a partner that you
Yes,
work
Amy.
with. Amy.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about that because it's important that you pick the right person.
Yes.
So can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, very important. I really think partnerships can make it or break it, right? Any business or any person, like it's so important. It's I think it's even harder than a marriage,
Yeah.
because a marriage, you have the love, you have all that, right? The partnership, when there's money involved,
Yeah.
it really, money, power, it really can really change everything. So we're truly blessed, and I message her all the time, like, I can't believe how lucky we are to have each other. Like, we've known each other for over 15 years, and we both went through our journeys of caregiving. Amy is a wonderful thing. You need to meet a wonderful person. Sorry, you need to meet her. Her son had cancer when he was little, so we really connect in that way,
Yeah.
and we both, complement each other. So this is one super important thing for people who are trying to find a partner. One, know their value, how they treat their loved ones, how, like really know who they are as a person. Forget about business, just know who they are. And second is, we tend to connect with people that are like us, right? So we get excited. Oh my gosh, let's do business together. Like, how many times is, we have the same ideas. We think alike. It's going to be perfect. But you need to find partners that are completely the opposite of you. So the strengths that I have, Amy suck at it. And the strengths that Amy has, I suck at it. So it's perfect because we really complement each other. And I think you have to have a clear understanding and conversation about what is this partnership means, right? And you have to write it. I believe in contracts. You have to write it all down and have hard conversations and say, if you're uncomfortable with something, you need to tell me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't just hold back, because it's not going to serve us. So we really need to know what is your job? What is my job?
Yeah.
And then the financial part, of course, it needs to be very clear, what is everybody taking home? but
Yeah.
write it down and sign contracts.
Yeah, I love that. So what I'm hearing you say, if we were to recap that, is that your values have to align
100%.
100%. And but the skill set you bring should be different, obviously, because you do different things.
And respect. That's a
And
big
respect.
one.
Yes. And clear, I love this. Clear is kind. I always say clear is kind. So your contracts, your operating agreement, everything is clear what one person does versus what the other person does. The one thing I feel that has to be aligned before it works, though, is the work ethic.
100. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, if the work ethic isn't aligned, that falls apart really quickly because it builds for resentment, right? If one person is pulling the load, it builds for resentment, and then it doesn't bode well for anybody.
No. And one of the things that I actually going to share, my father-in-law had a really successful business, a dentist, and he had two partners. And he said, he always share little advice. And he said, before we create the partnership, we had all the wives together and they got together. I'm not sure if they went on a vacation or a few dinners together. So everybody could get to know each other and learn, are we all getting along? Are we all on the same page, when it comes to the wives and how we treat each other and all that. It's super important to go that extra mile and don't jump in. It's like dating. You don't just go and get married, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
need to date
That's
a
right.
little.
You need to date a little
Date
and not
a
jump
little,
into
have a little, do a test
yeah.
run, see how you work together, and then get married.
Yeah, I like that. And I think the other part also is being able to have those honest conversations with each other if things are not going the way that it should.
Yes.
Yeah,
Don't just hold back and say, that's fine, and it's not fine, right?
Yeah.
So it's really similar to a marriage.
It is very similar to a marriage, being able to have the conversation, being able to receive and being able to give and of that. Yeah, that's very good. So what would you say to someone who's thinking, I want to start a business? What advice would you give them?
I think I am an entrepreneur, so I get excited. I jump into so many ideas about business. What should I do? What can I do? What does the market need? And I think people need to really see, and this comes when we're talking about branding, and this is what we really wanted to do. The reason why I really got into brand is people need to know the why. People need to know, why do they want to do that? Right? How do they want to impact people's lives? It's not just about selling a product or providing service. How do you want to impact people's lives? And what's the legacy you want to leave in your life? Right? I think that's super important. And then, go look at the big picture, come back, and then say, okay, I feel different after I had visit all those three questions, right? So I'm coming back and I'm going to say, okay, how can I serve this market? Right. And then figure it out step by step. I think it's just like come back and go step by step and not just jump in and,
Yeah.
sometimes you get excited. That's the thing. I get excited and I have no patience, right? So
It
that's
sounds like
another
Amy
thing.
has patience, though.
She does. She's like, hold on, Juliana. Yeah, because I'm like, let's just do this, blah, blah. I get all excited. I'm like, let's get it done today. I'm just like, no. Slow down.
No, slow down. Let's think about
with
this.
my own personal experience, just slow down, come back, revisit, and then move forward.
Then move forward. But that segues into nicely to the next question, which is, what are some like common mistakes that people make in business?
Okay, I don't know about business. I think a lack of preparation. It could be like we could talk about so many different things, like the aspects of the money part, but with what I'm really familiar with the branding aspect of the business, I think a lot of people don't really truly know their clients, right? You need to know your clients, like everything. What do they love? Where do they shop? What keeps them up at night, right? How can I solve their problems? And everything. So this is one of the things that we love. Is it's like you need to know exactly who they are so you can serve them. And also to connect, you need to know the language they speak, right? So you can connect with them.
I love that. I think what I'm hearing you say is that know what problem you're solving
Mm.
and what is your demographic,
Yeah.
you know, whose problem you're solving.
Right.
So if you understand that, then I love that. It's speaking to me also, you know, for my business. Like, like when you said that, I'm thinking, am I problem solving for the demographic, like my executives, right? Because I'm executives for corporate America. When I share on social media, when I'm sharing, am I solving their problem?
Right. So we really need to put out there the struggles and the
Yes.
solution. So you have this struggle, and I can bring you the
The
solution to fix your
solution,
problem.
yes.
That's when they're going to be, oh, I need you, Sally. Right.
Yes, yes. Instead of, I think, like one of the biggest thing I know, like some of my clients struggle with, is that you just can't try something for 3 months and then give up.
Right.
It takes time,
It takes time.
and you've got to. And correct me if I'm wrong, Juliana. Like you got to give it a year at least.
Yeah. So it's that thing, right? There's a lot of correction,
Yeah.
behavior corrections, right? Especially on your field of coaching, right? You need to identify what the issue is, change. People are so used to instant gratification that they want the results right away. And it's not going to happen because it just doesn't work that way, right? You can't just say, okay, I'm ready to run a marathon, but I never walked before.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, it's a whole process. They
Yeah.
need to go through the process patiently and put the work.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go talk about like branding a little bit in photography. Why is it so important to have great pictures for your branding?
So, well, have you ever been, so, right? A picture says 1,000 words, I say 1,000,000 words, right? Have you ever been, for example, to a conference, right? You're attending a conference and it's like a gigantic conference and you have a gap between 12 to 2 p.m. and you need to find a class to attend, right? There are 3 people there and 2 pictures, right? Their headshots are horrible. And the third one is super professional. You automatically are going to be going to that class. Guaranteed.
Interesting.
Or if you're like picking a doctor online, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, if they can present themselves professionally with one headshot, right? That says so much to me. So that's just headshots. But when you're like talking about branding and not aligning with your brand, not aligning with the message you want to speak, right? You represent yourself. And this goes like with how you're dressed, how you put yourself together, right? It's all about communication. So images, like the colors, even typography, everything that you put out there on your brand, it's going to evoke an emotion, right?
Interesting. What would consider, like, let's go back. I like your conference idea because I speak at conferences.
Yes.
What would be considered a terrible picture versus a good picture?
Right. So when you look at a picture, your thoughts just go and say, first of all, like lighting. Right?
Okay.
It's super important.
Yeah.
But there's also, you can see if a picture was done, with your, like, don't take me wrong, you can take excellent pictures nowadays with your phone, but there's lighting, there's that messy outfits, posture, like everything can say, can communicate your posture, how you're seated,
Right.
where you are. The background is super important, the outfit you're wearing, the color you're wearing, but lighting is super important. That could totally so it's just like it's a whole package when it comes to images.
Okay, I have to show you this then.
All right.
I'm curious. I thought this was a really good picture, but I'd love your opinion. What do you think
I'll be
about that
honest.
picture? Be honest. Be honest. We can show it. That picture. What are your thoughts?
See, I think it's a really pretty picture. Is it AI generated?
No.
It's really a pretty picture. You look beautiful, but I wouldn't use that professionally. It's very casual to me.
Oh,
even though you have a beautiful outfit.
Yes, and can I take a guess why you said it's casual? It's because it's obvious it's a selfie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I just noticed when you said that.
It's a selfie. You can tell right away. It's a selfie.
Yeah.
There are also angles. Angles
Yeah.
that it's gonna make you look better.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying look better, but
I know what you're saying.
yes,
Yeah.
angles and I mean, editing that makes a difference. It's not editing to remove all your wrinkles or anything,
Right.
but that the color is balanced. Everything's you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you can totally see.
Yeah.
And since I mentioned AI, right? There's a lot of conversations with photographers about AI and images, right? You got suddenly like 12 fingers in your head. Have you seen those?
Like, how do you have 6 fingers? Oh no, yeah, I've seen
There's
those.
some really
I've seen
funny
those. There's
things.
some funny things, yeah.
So you can create pretty pictures with AI, but this is where AI will not tell you, will not teach you what you're supposed to do, right? In a sense of how you're going to communicate with your clients properly. So, I mean, you cannot communicate with the language that you're speaking with a judge. It's not going to be the same language you're going to speak with a kindergarten, right?
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying.
So the guidance that a professional photographer will bring to you, and I think one of the most important things when you're working with a photographer is communication.
Yeah.
You have to be clear and be totally in sync with what you want, because we all have expectations. You hire a photographer, so this is my thing. I always tell my clients, I'm like, if you tell me you want a dramatic look, what does that actually mean, right?
Yeah,
to you, dramatic could be something completely different than dramatic to me, right? So I always say, create a mood board. We always do, so we can visually understand what you mean with dramatic.
Like for me, this is dramatic.
Right.
A lot of makeup.
But, it could be, and people imagine and they have all these ideas, and then they can be disappointed because you didn't deliver what they ask.
Absolutely.
So that is super important to have a clear communication.
I'm so glad you brought up AI, because just not AI, but when you clean up the photos,
the editing.
The editing of the photos, I love that, because it does remove, because there's shadows, and it makes your face look weird, and then you clean it up, and it's like, oh, all the shadows are gone. I actually have my true skin color.
Right.
But then you've seen people filter so much, like. I've had people filter so much, and they walk in the studio, and I'm like, I don't know who you are.
I know. And I always joke, like, I have a lot of friends who use filters in the camera. Like, I don't want to be in this part of this.
Yeah. Like, okay, yeah, you can, like, change my coloring a little bit, but if I have no wrinkles or...
So, so I believe in, like, editing is super important, but it has to be sensible, right?
Yeah.
We don't
you
want
have to look the same way you look, a little brighter.
Yes. The beauty of editing that I like is that you really, like, smooth your skin a little bit naturally, that it doesn't become distracting, right?
Yeah.
For example, if you have like a big pimple or something like that, it becomes distracting, and people, like, you want to be focusing, like, oh, look at that, right? Instead of the whole picture, right?
Yeah.
Your hair that is like a little crazy over here, just like, let's just fix that.
Yeah.
I
like that.
And I believe in very natural editing.
Yeah.
And some people want more. It's like a Chinese restaurant, right? It's like, how much spice do you want? I want to make my clients happy.
And I scale from 1 to 10.
Yeah, but there's a limit. Like, we're not going to go filter crazy.
Yeah, because your branding is also attached to it.
Right.
So you've got
my signature on the image.
Yeah, your signature on the image. And talking about your signature on an image, how does somebody prepare for that? How do they prepare for their photo shoot?
So that's one of the things that I said. We prepare with clear communication.
Okay.
That is super important to me. So we really talk over what do they want, what are their expectations, get very visual with images. So, and then it's the whole process of like getting their hair and makeup done. We talk about outfits. Outfits are super important. I give lots of tips and like, you need to be comfortable, first of all. But you want to be, especially if you're doing a branding shoot, you need to be speaking the language of your brand, right?
Yes, yes.
One of the big things for me is that it's not that I'm hard on the clients, but I help them, I guide them. A lot of people say, okay, so if you're selling sports drinks to a male, right, clientele, right? If you show up all in pink, it might not be connecting. Even though pink's my favorite color, but it's not going to connect, right? So this is what happens a lot when we're going through the brand development, because we do the whole, the logo and all the color palettes and everything for their brand. And a lot of clients, but I love butterflies and I love, pink. I'm like, that's wonderful. Like, but your client's not going to connect. And that's the importance. You need to speak their language.
Right.
So we'll connect with them and they will remember you. That's the most important thing.
That's interesting. So that's also part of the storytelling.
Right.
How do you tell the story so that the audience connect with you? If you're talking about lifting weights in the gym, the butterfly and the pink might go, but it depending on if you're targeting male or both male and females. So to understand that is important.
Yes.
So there's a lot that goes into this branding
it's
stuff.
There's a lot of layers, right? People don't realize. They're just like, oh, it's a logo. Logo is one of the least important things of the brand. I mean, it's important.
Yes.
But there's so much depth that we go in order to get to that logo, right?
Right.
And you could have a great logo, but if nothing else is communicating, it's not just the Coca-Cola logo. It's like the red. There's a reason for colors, right? Colors evoke emotions. There's like all different things, like the whole marketing campaign. How are they speaking? How are they visually showing up? So you mentioned storytelling. I love storytelling, especially nowadays, especially in personal branding, because people connect to people on a very personal level, right?
Right, right.
So with the power of social media, we can share stories, right? Talk about our being vulnerable, because that's how humans are going to connect. They're like, oh my gosh, I love Sally. I love her story. Even though I didn't go through her same struggles, I love how she went through that and she rise above it all, right? So people connect that way, and they're like, I have such admiration, respect for her, right? And then I connect with her. So let's just say you sell lipstick. Mary sells lipstick. There are 200,000 people that sells lipstick, right? And like, I'm finishing now, and oh my gosh, it's time for me to buy lipstick, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, who I'm going to buy from? I'm going to buy from Sally, because I connected with her. I want to support her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you connect on a personal level. So this is the beauty of storytelling, where you can share things and build that connection, not just with the products and your brand.
Yeah. Very interesting. You really changed my mind on branding today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and
my mindset on branding. Yes.
You have like a very, I really connected to you, because I appreciate your brand. I appreciate that you're always like, on top of things. And there are lots of layers. People don't realize that.
Oh,
people just think it's just a color and a logo, and it's not. That's part of it.
I know people tell me, like, they see me at church or the grocery store or whatever, and they're like, man, your content is always so positive. And that's what people view me as, this person that put out positive content. But I'm like, what about the leadership stuff that I share? Isn't that resonating? So it got me rethinking right now, like, okay, I gotta rethink this. But anyways, yeah. Is there anything that you want to share that I didn't ask you?
No, I think we were good. But when you said positive, have you ever noticed, because I live in a positive land, like, right? We're right there. I think when you put positive content, you attract people that love positivity. And I've seen so many people, they're putting out there so much drama. And they attract the drama. And they're like, I don't understand how my life is full of drama, right? Because you're really putting out there drama.
That's right.
And I'm like, I really have very little drama in my life in regards to the people that I surround myself. And then I feel that
Same.
I attract. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so freaking lucky. I attract the most wonderful
Full
people, right?
Same.
So I
Yeah.
think it's what you put it out there in the world that will bring
Yeah.
people to you. So that goes really, really great with anything, you know, in a personal level,
Yeah.
with your business. It's what you put out in the world. Yeah.
And I love what you started here with gratitude. Because even if I don't share drama. I don't have a lot of drama, and I cut it out really fast. But even if I share I'm going through something really hard, and I've seen some of your posts where you've gone through hard things, you still add the gratitude in there.
Right.
And people get to see like you're not all doomsday, but you bring them hope. And I think that's what the world needs to see. That even when my dogs died and I went through hard things, I still but you know what? It could have been worse. I have to count my blessings, count the people in my life, what's important. And that's part of branding too. To your point, I was thinking, oh, they see the positive side, but the truth is that's what people want anyway. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what they want. So do you have any closing remarks for us today?
I think I love what you said about hope, right? On the hardest days, we cannot lose hope and faith, right? It's that little dot of light on those hardest days that's going to get you going, right? And in your personal life, if you're struggling with your business or whatever it is, you have to focus on a positive life. To whatever your focus is going to, turn into this bigger light, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing in this big room, and you just focus on the darkness is going to expand as well.
That's right.
So I really think it's no matter what, whatever you're going through in life, never lose faith. And wake up, go to bed grateful, no matter how hard your day is, right? Grateful for something. Find something that you're grateful for and wake up excited to be alive.
I love that. And to end with this, that little bit of light that you have when you share that and people see that, you never know how that little bit of hope and light are impacting other people. So thank you for today's session, and thank you for watching, and it's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in to the Sally Allen podcast, where we give voice to stories of resilience.